Hello, hello. If you are watching the replay, drop me a purple heart. We're gonna give it just a second for the star of the show to arrive. Let me know how y'all are doing on this Monday. Oh my gosh, I have been so busy. Sorry, just getting my setup all done the way that I want it. We are live on both Facebook and Instagram. Thank you guys for joining. Oh, and Theresa is here. Okay, I hope you guys are excited about this. So let's get her on. Oh, ask Theresa. Okay. Figuring this out, y'all. Hopefully there's no echo. I will have you guys, oh, see, I haven't done this in so long. Oh my gosh. Hold on. Okay. That's a little better. It's not cute. Theresa, you're frozen. Are you there? There we go.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Okay. On Instagram, tell me if you can hear us, if you can hear Theresa. So Theresa, just say hi. Hi. We're new here. Don't mind us. And if you're watching on Facebook, will you let us know if there is an echo? And hopefully there's not, because there's nothing I can do about it because I don't have headphones. So I'm hoping. Sometimes I keep headphones around me. I promise we'll get into this. Hey, Morgan, you snuck on doing work. Can you please make sure this is recorded? Yes, it's recorded. We're live on Facebook. It is definitely recorded. You can hear us both. Perfect. No echo. Perfect. Okay, so hold on. Let me breathe. Teresa's like, this is weird. No, okay. Breathing. Okay. Hello. I'm so excited to be here with you guys interviewing the fabulous Theresa Martin. Theresa and I have been friends for 12 years now.
Oh my God.
We go way back, y'all. So I can let her tell you guys a little bit more about that. But we started off, she was actually on my staff. I worked for the University of North Texas as a hall director, and she was one of our RAs. She was the baby on our staff. She was like 18. She was like super new. And so she was a rock star. I actually got in trouble for playing favorites, okay? Literally 12 years ago, Theresa was still my favorite. Sorry, not sorry. So she was like my favorite on my staff. She was always just such like the work ethic that she's had has been phenomenal since the moment that I met her. I trust her. She was the first babysitter of my kids, which if you know me, I don't let anyone watch my kids ever. So she was the first babysitter of my oldest, Ethan. So we go way back. So then for those of you that don't know, I am a Senegence distributor, which this is a generic training, but this is an important part of the story. So I'm a Senegence distributor, and we kept in touch. Like we got lunch and stuff sometimes, but we're both, well, I don't know. Are you introverted? Are you introverted?
Oh, yeah.
Extroverted? Introverted? Yeah. Okay, I'm like, I don't know. We're social together, but socially awkward. So anyway, again, I'll have her tell her story, but we connected because she plays flute or played flute, and she needed a lipstick that doesn't come off. So anyway, so she became my customer, which transitioned to her being on my team, which transitioned to her now being top in sales and sponsoring and team sales. She's going for the triple threat of being number one in all three categories. And so I thought I would interview her today. And all of that being said, I wanted to kind of tell you the reason I wanted to do this interview today, because so many of you watched GoPro over the weekend. If you watched GoPro over the weekend, drop GoPro into the comments. And it's a lot. It's a lot of information. You get so much information on systems and actions and sales and sponsoring and team building and recruiting and like so many different things. And literally, I probably got a dozen different messages of, I don't know if I can do this when I work full time. It was very overwhelming for a lot of you to take in that information when you work full time. And so I was like, Theresa, need to interview you tomorrow. Like, we got to jump right into this. We got to just get everyone to understand you can absolutely build your online business while you work full time. And so anyway, all of that being said, I hope you guys are excited as I am to hear from Theresa. So I will pass it off to you to actually talk about your story and your journey to kind of how you started working full time and to now, where are you today?
Sure. So I joined Morgan's team actually for the discount because I was on a teacher salary and really liked lip sense. And so I was giving Morgan all of my money, and I was like, okay, I need to get this stuff for cheaper. So I joined her team for the discount and really didn't sell for realistically about 6 to 7 months. I really was just there to get a discount on my products. I didn't even really care about like the community or anything like that. I was not there to sell. I was not there for any of the other reasons that anybody talks about. And after being in the team group for about 6 months, I had just watched so many people. Really, honestly, what it was is I watched so many people get recognized for their hard work. And if you've never taught, you don't know what this feels like, but being a first-year teacher is one of the hardest things I've ever done in my life. When you are a first-year teacher, you're literally bad at everything. Literally bad at everything. You're bad at classroom management. You're bad at keeping up with all of the paperwork. You're bad at all of it. Like it's new, right? And so I needed someone to tell me I was doing a good job at something. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to dip my toe in. I could use the extra money. Like, we're just going to see what this is all about. And I was really strictly a hobbyist seller for like 2 years. And I loved it. I loved my full-time job. I loved teaching. And I loved being able to come home and have something fun to do that really kind of like fed my soul. So like I had my thing that I got to go to work and I got to teach kids and I absolutely adored it. And then I got to come home and I got to play with makeup and I got to try new things and push myself out of my comfort zone in different ways. And it made me a better teacher, actually. And teaching made me a better distributor. And it was just fun. Like, I just really enjoyed it. And then when COVID happened, teaching got pretty bad. It was pretty bad. I don't think anybody was like, COVID teaching was great. I don't know any teachers that liked it. And I decided after the lockdown and kind of experiencing a normal balanced life, like, oh, I can turn my computer off and actually be done with school at 3 instead of 7. I was like, okay, I'm ready to make a switch. So I went all in with my business for about a year and a half and got to the point I was matching my teacher salary, and then I left teaching, and it's been really, really great. I've been self-employed 100% for a year and a half now, and I'll never go back. I'm obsessed.
I'm so proud of you. Oh my gosh, I should have known I'd be emotional just hearing you talk about it. I'm like, don't cry, Morgan, don't cry, Morgan. Okay, so I think that's actually really strong for people to hear that you've only been doing this full time for like a year and a half. So like, you're still pretty green. Like, whenever I talk about doing this full time, it's like, I've been doing this full time for 5 years now, and people are like, oh, is this even a relevant conversation? Like, for you guys, this is a relevant conversation. She is very new to, and that's another thing we could always do a whole nother interview about, is the transition from doing this part-time to doing this full-time. Yeah, it's a big transition, right? But okay, so you at first talk to me first about when you worked this casually, more as like a hobbyist, more for fun. You were working full-time. How were you kind of fitting that in at a more like fun hobbyist level?
Sure.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. So for those of you who don't know, I was a full-time teacher, high school band director in Texas, which is very competitive. So we had after school rehearsals. I usually got to work at about 6:30 and left work at about 6:30 p.m. So I was at school for 12 hours a day, most days. And so by the time I got home, obviously like super tired, not a lot of energy for a lot of things. So I'd get home, take a shower after marching band, do dinner, like all of that stuff. It's normally about 8 p.m. And then David, my fiance, and I would sit down and watch TV. And so I would just have my phone or my computer and kind of casually be, commenting back to people while we watch TV. And then I just fit live videos in on the nights that I felt like it, honestly. I was not a 5 days a week kind of person. It was like I got out of here early today. I'll pop on live and show them, what new lip gloss I got, or whatever it was. I would just jump on live probably 3 days a week for 10 minutes. Like, I think when people hear like, oh, you have to work it every day, they think, oh, I have to spend hours every day. Working it every day can be 10 minutes. It can be, you know, it really it can be very quick. It doesn't have to be this huge time commitment. So when I was more of a hobbyist, it really was like I would chill at night on my phone. In the time that you're normally scrolling, I would just be scrolling my customer group and replying back to my customers' posts and my customers' comments. So at the hobbyist level, it was very much 10-15 minutes a day and maybe like a good working hour on Sunday. And that was it.
I was actually wondering if you would bring that up, because she's always been like the biggest cheerleader on our team for that, like 1 hour of like planning your week. You spend 1 hour a week planning your week, and the rest she could just like fit in the other little smaller bubbles, right? I feel like I had a question. I don't remember. I lost it. It's okay. I'm not good at this. We're learning. Okay, so at the hobbyist level, 10-15 minutes a day, but you were happy with that. And so that's one thing that I really want all of you to understand is if you're happy at like a hobbyist level.
Sorry, that's my dog.
Okay, so I was
the
like,
UPS truck just pulled up, so.
If you're happy at a hobbyist level, like don't let anyone make you feel badly for that. Like it's okay to do this because it's fun. It's okay to do this as an outlet if you have a stressful job. Like it's okay. Oh, and I remember, you know, one thing that she said that I think is so important is she turned the time that she was already scrolling social media into just more intentional scrolling. So she's still commenting on social media, but instead of commenting anywhere and everywhere, she's commenting on her customers' posts. Instead of just scrolling, she's scrolling in her beauty group, or like chatting with people, you know, doing income producing activities within those 10-15 minutes or that hour scrolling on a couch, like just taking those same time frames that we're already using on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and turning it into intentional time. Okay, so you did that for like literally 2.5 years. Like you did that for like a while.
Yeah.
And then I feel like I almost remember like having these conversations of like, I really think I want to like give myself a deadline. I would love for you to kind of talk about having like a deadline of when you, like why that was important. I feel like I want to dive into it, but I'm like, I know you'll say it all like in the best way. So I know that you had like a deadline of like, I really want to turn in my notice by this time for these reasons. So talk about kind of setting that deadline, what that can look like for people, and kind of like the goals and actions leading up to it. Does that make sense?
Yes. So I think being a teacher kind of forces you into a deadline because you sign a year-long contract, you know, like you're not piecing out in October, you know, you can't just put in your 2 weeks notice and be like, I mean, you can, but nobody really does that. And it would be, in my situation, that would have been a horrible thing to do. So that was not an option. It was I needed to tell my boss by March so that they had plenty of time to find a good replacement. It was really, I mean, like I said, I loved my job. I loved my kids. I just needed to leave teaching for me. So I wanted to make sure that they were set up for success, and that meant March. So I decided in March of the previous year, actually, I think it was April of the previous year. So I had 11 months. And during those 11 months, you know, when you make that decision, it really does become much more about the money. Because you're talking about needing to be able to support yourself based on this business. And it's no longer, it's obviously still fun, but it's no longer about the fun at the end of the day. At the end of the day, I need to be able to pay my mortgage. I need to be able to pay for groceries, you know? So I really had a pretty conscious shift toward my commission needs to be this, and my sales need to be this, and my new customer acquisition needs to be this, so that grows. And I've always kind of been a big proponent of knowing your numbers, but that becomes much more real when you're looking at this being your only source of income. So, you know, knowing what you ultimately need and having a path to get there, I think is really, really important. But that does mean you have to dig into, okay, what does my customer acquisition look like? What does the retention look like? How many of those new customers do I keep? Or am I having to get new customers every single month? And what does it take to get me there? What are the processes to get me there? And then at the same time, since, you know, we make sales commission and coaching commission, how do we grow both sides? And so sitting down and really looking at the numbers there and figuring out, okay, how do I make this go up, but also feed this side, also feed the coaching commission side, so that everything is rising together. And that's really set me up for where I feel like I am now, which is much more of a balanced business, and everything is rising together versus everything kind of being all in one camp.
So okay. So the schedule doesn't change. I really want to like kind of set this up for everyone. I'm sorry, I live on a main road. It's very loud. So the schedule doesn't change. She's still working. It's like literally right outside my window. Hold on. It's very annoying. Anyway, so the schedule doesn't change. She's still working 6:30 to 6:30. And I remember all of this. Another thing for you guys to know about Theresa, some of you are sneaking your phone during work. You're working, but like you're on your phone. Theresa was not. She was unavailable during those hours. I'm going to say this for you because I remember she had boundaries even with her team, because you might say like, well, how can I grow my team if I'm working 12-hour days? And it's so much of that is that communication. Her team knew she was working. She had no time available during the day. So if they wanted to talk to her or get help from her, they had to message her at like certain hours of the day. So maybe talk about I don't know, because we didn't prep any of this, you guys. We're totally winging all of this. Talk about the transition in the activities, because you still had the same amount of hours a day, but suddenly you were taking the same amount of hours and able to do like way more income, right? So maybe kind of talk about either like the time blocking or the activities that kind of go into that.
Yeah. So like Morgan said, I was like out of office, right? During school, when you're teaching a class, like it's not like I was at the front of the room, like on my phone. Like phone was down, and well, it was on, but because I needed my work email, but it was on do not disturb. Okay. So it was very much, my team knew that I was going to respond to any messages at 8 p.m. after I had gotten home and showered and eaten dinner. That's when I could get back to them. And I had a system set up so if they had an important question during the day, they knew how to get an answer. If they needed an answer while I was at work, they knew how, right? And I think those systems are really important. But you know, they knew they were going to get an answer at 8 p.m. or at 6:30 the next morning, or 6 a.m. the next morning when I woke up. And there wasn't a lot of straying from that because there just wasn't time. And I think, you know, it's funny, I was thinking about this when you asked me to do this interview. It was like, I used to be so efficient and now I am not. When you have 30 minutes, an hour, maybe on a good day, you have 2 hours to work your business, you know what you need to do, you know the order you need to do it in, and you blast through that list so fast. And then you're like, and I'm done because it's bedtime and I have to wake up and do it all over again tomorrow. And now I wake up at 10 a.m. and I'm like, what am I going to do today? I don't know. I know I need to do shout outs, but I have 7 hours. So, you know, and I think that when you are that busy, it's like, here's the list, get it done. And so for me, I knew that I needed to do 2 makeup workshops every single week because that got me the amount of customers that I needed to hit my goals and grow and all the things, right? I already talked about breaking that stuff down. So I knew I needed 2 makeup workshops a week. And so I would get home and I would do whatever I needed to do for my customers. And I would do a live video in makeup workshop 1, live video in makeup workshop 2, whatever I needed to do to close those out, done. Next day, you know? And so you just, when you have that hit list and you have an hour, it's like, all right, here we go. We're going to do it. And I will say a lot of the fluff goes away when you don't have time. So there's not time to do, I wasn't collaborating with a lot of other teams. I wasn't like all of the like fluffy stuff. Like Morgan does a lot of team challenges. I was not participating. I was doing my two workshops a week and funneling, and that was it. Like there wasn't time for the extra. I was focused on the income producing things that I needed. And so it really wasn't a whole lot more time. It's just more intention. And I think that that's where a lot of people, and a lot, not necessarily more intention, but more, well, yes, more intention and action. I think we, like I'm generalizing here, but I think we as network marketers specifically spend so much time training and almost no time implementing. So like we spend a lot of time learning all these new things, but we don't apply it, and it's almost wasted time. So when you don't have that time to waste, it's all intention and implementation, because that's all you have time for. Mm-hmm. So I think that makes a really, really big difference when you're on a clock. Like if I needed to go back to working my business 30 minutes a day, an hour a day, I could. At the level I'm at now, I could, because I know how. I've done it before. So I think that kind of intention and like action-based income producing stuff, it just makes a really big difference.
Mm-hmm. And Theresa she actually did a real talk with the leaders on my team. This was months ago. And she was like, where's your money coming from? And they were like, what do you mean? And she was like, what do you mean? What do I mean? Because it's like, do you know where your money is coming from? Do you know where your income is coming from your business? Like, is it coming mostly from sales? Is it coming mostly from parties, mostly from live videos? Is it from Reels or TikToks or like email campaigns or text messages? Or is it mostly from your team? Like, where is your money? Because once you know where your money is coming from, you can start to do that more. You can do those actions more. But if you're not paying attention to where your money's coming from and it's just like magic money, then you're doing a lot of these like fluff extra activities that aren't actually leading to results. So paying really close attention to that, like Theresa has that like drilled down probably better than anyone on my entire team, because she's like, I know where my money is and I know what brings me the income, because this is all she does now. All of that being said, I keep losing my train of thought because I just keep talking. Okay. How long is this? It's been about 20 minutes. And is there anything you wanted to share? Is there anything you wrote down or like have thought of that's extra?
I just had something I was going to say and I totally just forgot it.
We're both not super helpful squirrels, you guys. This is like the best and the worst all at the same time. Like I'm like, both of us are like, we both had things to say and we're both just like over here like, I don't remember.
One thing that I think is also really important, and this is something that was really hard for me, is like learning to not play the comparison game. Mm-hmm. I actually don't feel like I didn't learn this until this year, and I wish that I had decided to do it sooner. But I decided in January, so this is obviously after I left teaching, I've been very caught up in like, well, how am I doing compared to XYZ? Especially a lot of people that are all like, almost all of my friends have hit this one really big goal in our company that I haven't. And in January, I decided I didn't care. I was like, you know what? I don't care. I'm going to lead my team the very best I can. I am going to sell the very best I can. I'm going to sponsor the very best I can. And I don't care. I don't care. I am going to make money. I literally decided, you know how some people like pick a word for the year? I was like, I'm like, this is a business and I am going to run this like a business and I am going to make money. And my actual income, like the amount of money like that I have in my checking account at the end of every month, is so different. And I wish that I had made that shift, because yes, obviously I was paying attention to my money on a high level before, because this is my job now. But if I had made that shift a long time ago, and this is something that we actually talked about a couple weeks ago, we were talking about how when you are aiming for the recognition, that's where you hit, versus if you aim for your goal, like whatever your goal is, or if you work super hard at one thing, you're going to hit the recognition and then surpass it. Mm-hmm. And so it's kind of where my brain has been lately. And I wish that I had implemented that when I was still working full time, because I think that I would have been able to grow so much quicker. Just like, it doesn't matter. Like what other people are doing doesn't matter. Just focus on making yourself the best seller you can, or the best sponsor, whatever the thing is, right? Like, focus on making that thing the very best you can, and then the recognition will follow. And I wish that I had implemented that much sooner, because I have more fun with my business now.
That's true. That is true. And something I kind of want to touch on this, and I don't want anyone to ever be like, oh, you know, like, when we talk about, I've done a whole video on like recognition versus money. No matter what company you're in, like, there's a difference between going for recognition and just focusing on your money. And again, if you're doing this casually or as a hobbyist, or if you're like, I'm a huge achiever, don't get me wrong, I want to check all the boxes, I want to be on every single list. But for me, I'm aiming for a certain income level. And when I go for that income level, the achievements are going to come along with it. For example, if any of you have never thought about this before, if you're in our company specifically, the very first rank with the minimum qualifications is $90. 90. That's all you're going to make. Don't get me wrong, my first check was like $147 and I literally cried. So I know if for some of you that $90 commission check would be amazing. I'm just saying, most people who join my team, at minimum, their goal is like $2,000 a month. And so if you're saying, I want to hit my first rank and I want to make $2,000, those are two totally separate conversations. And it's like, you don't even realize it because you don't know how much money the rank makes, but it's literally $90. And so it's like, if you're wanting to make $2,000, this isn't the rank you're going for. So you have to adjust the expectations, and you have to understand the difference between recognition and money. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So anyway, that's a whole different conversation, but I wanted to bring that up. One other thing, I remembered what I wanted to say earlier when you were talking about being intentional with your time, and also how much more or how much more you got done in like 1 hour versus now when you do this full time. People don't want to hear this, but we're talking about your money. We're talking about your full-time income. We're talking about a real life situation where if you were to like just pull the trigger and jump into full-time, like, Theresa and I are both the people that we're not just going to be like, yes, quit your job, you'll figure it out. Like, we're not. We're both very logical people. And I truly, truly, truly believe in the phrase, if you can't build this part-time, you can't build it full-time. And I know that's hard for you to hear, but if you can't build this part-time, you can't build this full-time. Because if you can't like make enough, any money, any sales at all, if you can't make any sales in like 5 to 10 hours a week, you're not suddenly gonna like be more skilled with 40 hours a week. You're just taking a low level of skill and having more hours to be low level of skill. Like, you need to build up your skills to where you're making profit, making income in 5 to 10 hours a week, and then you can scale those skills. But until you have a skill to scale, like, I would be focused on your building those skills and building, like she said, those income producing activities for you before you even like put this on your radar. Like, I want this to be like, if this is your long-term goal, make it your long-term goal, but understand we're not telling you to like jump out of a plane. Like, we're both very logical about this. Okay. I think I hit on all of my questions.
I have one thing.
Oh, no, good. No,
so I will say one thing while I was working full time that I was really intentional about was I would learn one new thing every day. Just one. And it can be something small, or you could listen to a 20-minute training. And it didn't matter what it was, but I learned one new thing every day. And I tell my girls this all the time. If you learn one new thing every day, at the end of the year, you know 365 new things about your business. And then the trick is to, like I talked about before, you have to implement that into your business in some way, shape, or form. And so I used to, while I was working full time, and I still honestly do this, like when you're doing those boring things like unloading the dishwasher, folding laundry, when you're in the shower, like that's when I listen to my trainings, because that gives or when you're driving, you know, like at some point, just when you would normally listen to a podcast, pop on a training. And I would learn one new thing about my business every single day. And that really helped me move my business forward without feeling overwhelmed. Like we talked about, if you just did GoPro, like now you have probably 500 things on a list that you're like, how the heck am I going to do all this? It's almost like too much for your brain to even comprehend. Pick one thing to implement this week. And then Maybe you go back to your list next week and pick one more thing. But we get so caught up in the, I have all these things that I want to implement right now. And you will literally never, I couldn't, Morgan couldn't, like there's no way that you're going to take all of these things and implement them into your business right away. You need to pick one thing and implement it and get good at it. And then do one more, right? Like if you're looking at your notes from any conference, from seminar, from GoPro, from whatever, then it's too much. You need to pick one thing. And for me recently, that's been recognition, recognizing my team, right? And so I created a system for recognition and I like set it up start to finish. And now that's rolling. 6 months ago, that was training my team. I was like, I need a better system for training my team. Came up with one, implement it, got really good at it. And then I added the next thing. I added 1 monthly challenge or whatever. You know, it can be whatever. But too many of us look at all the things. It's like working out. And like, I always think about comparing it to working out because I'm still pretty new to that. I'm like a baby gym person. Like I haven't gone in a week, but you know, we're not going to talk about that. Or just life in general. Like we try too much. Like at the beginning of the year, I'm going to be good with my money and go to the gym and eat healthy and start a business and stop. No, you're not. Like no human can 180 their life. No human can 180 their life. So like pick one thing and get really good at it. And I've kind of done that. I was thinking about this a couple weeks ago. I've done that every year. 4 years ago started my business, right? And I got good at it. And then 3 years ago, I started therapy and started working on my mental health, and that's in a better spot. And this year I started paying a lot more attention to my money, and that's in a better spot. Like you're trying to overhaul your whole life right now. Like get good at one thing, like one thing, and then get good at one more thing, and it builds. And you get good at things faster instead of being like, I'm going to fix everything now, because you're not. Nobody can do that. And so like learning one new thing every day and picking one part of your business to focus on. You're not going to overhaul your whole business tomorrow because you watched GoPro. You need to get good at sales. You need to get really good at selling. And once you're really good at selling, then you can teach people how to sell. Or you can start to focus on sponsoring, but like you're trying to get good at everything all at once. Learn one new thing every day and implement one new thing every week, and your business will grow faster because you're focused instead of being mass chaos all over the place all the time.
I'm obsessed with you. I'm so proud. I'm so proud of you right now. Well, this has been absolutely amazing. If you guys are not following Theresa, you should follow her. She's incredible. You can either follow her on, I'm not saying go send her a million friend requests, but like you can follow her. There's a follow button on both Facebook and on Instagram. She's one of the top trainers in our company. If you are in our company training it, are you training? You're training at Pitt?
I'm training at Pitt in the Tulsa location.
She's training at the Tulsa location at Pitt if you guys are going to our next conference. And we're actually working on a couple of things as well that will be for anyone watching if you live in the Houston area. So just going to tease that a tiny bit, even though that's a couple months away. So let us know if you guys have any questions. We will come back and answer in the comments. Otherwise, thank you so much, Theresa. You're incredible. I'm so proud of you. And I will probably talk to you in 30 seconds.
Probably.
Bye.
Bye.